Уважаемые коллеги, сегодня у нас очередной мастер-класс, который проводит Ассоциация профессионалов управления бизнес-процессами. Сегодня у нас в гостях коллеги из Германии, которые представят продукты Horus Software. И, значит, со стороны докладчиков у нас Hussong и Наталья Сорокина, которая будет по возможности какие-то, если у кого-то есть проблемы с английским языком, она будет комментировать, переводить на русский язык. Презентация будет на английском языке. Начинаем.
Ну, давайте я скажу пару слов о нас и о компании. То есть компания у нас достаточно молодая, несмотря на то, что технологии уже существуют достаточно долгое время. Продукт разработан был несколько лет назад при поддержке ведущих исследовательских университетов в Германии. Активно развивается, и мы пытаемся, в общем, собрать все последние научные разработки вместе. То есть вы сами знаете, да, что тема BPM, она такая очень обсуждаемая, очень много вопросов, очень много подходов к ней, да, то есть мы пытаемся собрать все это в одну кучу, да, и то есть не просто инструмент моделирования предоставить, да, а предоставить инструмент моделирования, который обеспечен, скажем так, научной методологической базой, да, под это. И поскольку показать нам есть много чего, мы сегодня постараемся сконцентрироваться на самых главных вещах, на самом инструменте, на социальной платформе, которая помогает привлечь к участию всех участников бизнес-сообщества и совместному моделированию. По возможности мы покажем процессы согласования и так далее, да, и там, если будет оставаться время, то какие-то еще вопросы обсудим. Как уже Юля отметила, презентация будет на английском. Если вам будет что-то непонятно, вы пишите свои вопросы в чат, и мы постараемся тогда либо по ходу комментировать, либо позже на ваши вопросы дополнительно ответить. Теперь я передаю слово основному докладчику Каю.
Thank you for your time. Okay, perfect with the mics. Also, hello from my side. So it's a pleasure for me to give you today a short introduction because regarding the time, we can only take a quick look into what Horus is about. So today it's about business process modeling with Horus. BPM, as many of you know, is sometimes like climbing up a big hill. So you need a method to do that. Sometimes you need tools that help you. And of course, you need some best practices that you can use while you're climbing up the hill with your team. So today, I'm giving you a short overview with a quick introduction and a short look on our mission, what we think, what is essential with BPM, then what is our framework. So we are always talking about a detailed method, some software tools, and some predefined, we call it knowledge bases, so models that you can reuse in your projects. Today we also want to focus on how to do this with Horus, so not only slides, but looking directly into the tools. So what is business process modeling with Horus, the involvement of the community, typical requirements of the business community, how can you collaborate within the software tools, and what are the next steps. I think this is also one point for the discussion later on. What to do with all these models, how to implement them, and what is about process evolution if it comes to topics like certification and so on. And of course, we want to use this evening to discuss different things. So feel free to put your questions into the chat, and my team here will support you in the first step and later on in the discussion. So, a quick intro to Horus Software GmbH. So we are the BPM experts of the Promatus Group. So we have a lot of customers across various industries. So if it comes to the topic of BPM, then you have it in all of these industries. If it's in commerce, in financials, and so on. you need always a kind of definition of workflows and the execution of them based on standard functionality, standard software, or on own development of this software that you need to do your business. What we are focusing with Horus, our mission, the method to stay ahead, is we want to support all those customers by doing their process of change. So in the globalized competition, knowledge has become the production factor number one. And if you want to be on top of the competitive situation, you need to use all this knowledge. And this knowledge can be a booster for your business capabilities. And to get all this information together, you need to mobilize all of the experts. You have some decision makers, the top management level. You have some specialists and external business partners. You have different people coming together, working on all these informations to create really comprehensive models. What we're doing also, we support our customers in education and training, coaching, support them in project work, and also if they need some specifics in our tools, we can add them together with our customers and partners. That's a quick intro of Horus. Coming to what we think you need to do a BPM project. You need different steps or phases to manage all these things. You need the preparation part, where you do your project analyzation and you define your project scope. We need some strategy and architecture view on our company. We need to analyze the context. We need the SWOTs of our company, strategies, the architecture, and also the system architecture. We need to define this in the first step. And based on all this information, we can do our detailed business process analysis, looking on the workflows, looking on the organization, putting a view on KPIs and risks. And based on all this information, we can implement all these systems that we need later on doing our projects. This is the overview of the method, and you will see corresponding to this method, we have different model types later on in our tools. Coming to our software tools for analyzing and documenting processes. So we have one tool that we want to focus on first, the Horus Business Modeler, to create all these models, to connect different model types and information. Then this collaboration platform, we call it private community, some functionality that also younger people are used to, like Facebook functionality, like chatting and so on, to comment on models, for example, as a knowledge management system, for example. Governance, risk, and compliance and security, also one point. Performance management later on, you need that in your project. And of course, if you want to extend the Horus framework, you can combine this with different plugins. We also have a look on, we call it gamification plugin, an additional functionality that we created together with our university partners. In quick overview, Business Modeler, a modeling tool for power users. You can add, for example, strategy and architecture models if it comes to topics of the context, objectives, SWOT, KPIs, and so on. You need all these models and elements in different areas. Then if it comes to really the definition of your business process, you need business objects, you need rules, you need workflows and resources, roads, and so on. And we defined some relationship between different model types for breaking down the complexity of such projects. So you always have different views on your requirements of the company. Then you, in the next step, you maybe want to simulate the models or do some reporting. We added, for example, an Office integration to Word and Excel. And for the execution of the process, you can use XML files or BPM 2.0 exports to connect it to the more technical business process management. The private community, different parts, different apps that we deliver there. The community portal, we also have a connection to a kind of wiki. We also have some mobile applications. So to get everyone involved into BPM, you need different tools focusing on different people of your business community. GRC, more a multi-dimensional analysis of your company. So it's focusing on transparency and security. You can identify different pain points that you want to focus on later on. You can analyze this, all your information in a more deeper level. Process intelligence, the product that we have for later on using if it's coming to the implementation of BI tools, with the implementation of key figures and so on. And with the Horus knowledge bases, we are offering predefined models for different areas, because for example, if it comes to marketing processes, sales or service processes and so on, you can use these models as a benchmark or as a starting point to create your own models in your projects. And I think the main point, what's the differentiator between us and our competitors, that we really trying to understand what are the requirements of our community. So in conventional BPM, you always have those experts collecting all the information from your company and putting it into good models. But as you can see here in some points, the involvement of the community is very low. What we're trying to do with the topic of social BPM, we want to enable everyone to put the information into the BPM to understand really what is going on, because you always have different peoples with different requirements, and we would try to connect them. Of course, you need those experts who really understand how to connect the different models, but everyone can put information into our approach, because it's really easy to understand. That's the main part that we're trying to understand the requirements of our community. Of course, you have from a traditional view all these steps of a design phase, of an implementation phase, or monitoring and analysis phase, and we are always doing that model-centered. So we have different steps that we trying to get the information. We are more focusing with Horus on the design of the relevant processes. And later on, you can use different tools for the implementation, for the execution, for example. There are a couple of possibilities to get the information into your execution engines and so on. A couple of things about what we think are the relevant players in our business community. So we always have some decision makers, the top management, and from our opinion, the top management is one key player in the projects. You need to involve them into BPM, because otherwise you don't have really the support to do such projects. Then you have the modeling experts, of course. We call him, for example, Peter Power. One guy who is able to connect everything, and we also have the domain experts coming from different areas, more business oriented, more technical oriented. We try to bring everyone together, and of course we always have community members who only want to read maybe only the different information, or just comment on the information, or putting some their knowledge into this approach. So for them, we are creating different tools and different functionalities so that they will fulfill or see their requirements in the relevant part. For example, decision makers always need a single source of truth. Therefore, we have our repository, central repository. You need different, for example, domain experts need different visual design of business processes from top down to the organizational structure and the automation system. Modeling experts need to manage all this information, and community members sometimes only need reading access to information. And here I think a switch between slides and the tool. And so we start with the Horus Business Modeler, the modeling component of our software tool chain. And then later on we'll see the private community, some gamification features, and if we have enough time we can have a short look into the Horus GOC. So jumping directly into the Horus Business Modeler, our modeling tool. So we have, just to give you a starting point, if you open up the Business Modeler, you have your main navigation on top with useful functionalities for the different steps. For example, to start, to view different things, to review the models. If it comes to our social BPM approach, we have different functionalities, and so you'll find all of necessary information on the top level navigation. Then on the left side, we have the so-called Workspace Explorer, where we have, as you can see here, the possibility to add multiple repositories. So the connection to our repository server, where you can define your projects or workspaces here in a hierarchy level. For example, I prepared a couple of models here for the demo. So you can see you can build a hierarchy of workspaces if you need that in your projects based on this Workspace Explorer. Then you have detailed user and group management. So you have different users, for example, and you can define different groups. That's where you can manage your team in this part, and you can give then groups or users access rights to different workspace. For example, you can manage the privileges here, and you can give users admin rights, reading rights, or the possibility to write models. And just a quick look how this look like if you open a model, an existing one. You can see here a procedure model, so it's more workflow oriented. So you can see this workflow with different information. This is an easy notation based on Petrinets. Here we have the definition of input objects, activities, and output objects. You can then add information to all these objects. First of all, some general information like short name, name, description, and so on. You can add some properties, for example. You can put some information for later on implementation. You can add documents, for example, all possibilities to save all the information that you need later on. Then we have the activities here. Also main part with general informations. Then you can see on the left side different functionality for adding information or building connection to different other model types. So you can add, for example, costs and times of this activity. You can rate this activity, and if you have some roads, for example, in this model, you can add different roads to different levels if you need that. Then, of course, you need some different levels in this model. You can build refinements here, for example. If we go to the refinement of this lead generation, you can jump directly into the model. That's the detailed view of this model, where you have the sales contact and different activities that you need to perform to qualify, for example, a sales contact as a lead. So these are different possibilities. You have some refinement levels. You have some, especially in the procedure models, you have inputs, activities, and outputs to define all these information. And you can add different models coming from the Horus method. And coming back to that method, to give you an overview as how to start. If you just create a new one here for the demo today, you can select different languages. Also later on for translation, for example, you can add here different languages. And if we start with our project, you can see there are different model types coming from the Horus method. So we have a template model. It's like more like a master that you have in PowerPoint to give a structure to your models. We have a glossary functionality. For example, if we need to define different terms for our project, we can use that later on. For example, if we add here Horus as a software tool, we can later on use this in our definition of different information. Then you can see, starting with the context model, we can add some supply and services, we can define objectives, we can add informations about SWOTs and so on, business strategies, key figures, and risks. You can create models on a level of a process architecture. You can add object models more for the data structure. You can define business routes and business units and so on. So you have different models that you can create and connect to each other. And just to give you an example how this model could look like, coming from the, for example, such an objective model, this could look like this, where you have different perspectives on the models. And here we are using, for example, as a structuring tool, the balanced scorecard, the views of the balanced scorecard, the perspectives, for example, to give the objective model a structure in different areas. For example, customers view, innovation and growth, internal process, finance, and so on. Coming back to our new model, for example, if we want to create a process architecture as a central model, we can add, for example, our core processes like marketing, sales, and service. This is then our main structure, and if we want to refine this one to a procedure model, for example, adding some contact information, you have then your workflow in your CRM system, for example, of creating a new contact. Maybe with 2 steps. You also have some functionality that helps you to align these models and to arrange them. And if we define, for example, we have some contact information, then in the next step we need to create an account. Then we have our account as an output of this step. And for example, we need to create a contact. And that's the way how to easily establish a quick model for different, or for this workflow of creating an account and a contact. And for example, I talked about this language possibilities. You can then easily translate this model, for example, if you need that. We put a translation tool inside, so you can, maybe it's not the best translation, but you're the expert there. But hopefully, if we change the language here, and then we can rearrange maybe a little bit for better reading. And this is how to easily draw not only a picture, but have different informations on your system that we need later on for the implementation, for example, of all these steps. Maybe I change back to English. Russian is not the best one. So then, if we have, for example, our procedure model, you can add different roles to this model. For example, we have sales manager, and we have an sales assistant. And if you now want that the first step is performed by your sales manager, you just can drag and drop your roles to this model. And then you can see like the corresponding, if you have knowledge in swim lanes, for example, this is a kind of swim lane view if you're looking on the roads that performing the process. So here you can see the sales manager and the activities of this sales manager. Later on, you will see his job profile, and there you can see the corresponding swim lane of this role, where you can see what steps are to performed from this role. And with this easy model, you can focus on the workflow, on the process. You have every information that you need to do a good analysis of this workflow, and you can really focus on your process. You don't have to think about the more functional view of or the more organizational view of the different things. This is the connection to procedure models and roles. Then, of course, we need a kind of object structure in our example here. We just put in an account and a contact that we need in our database later on. We can build a relationship between these objects. For example, if you want to do only 1-to-n connection between an account and a contact, so that one account can have multiple contacts, then you can build this structure like this way. And you can build the connection then to your procedure model with adding object types coming from your object model. And you can see the relevant information in your procedure model. You have everything together in one place. For example, this is the connection then between procedure models and object models, and in addition with the roads that we have on this level. And for example, if we want to put this into your organization structure, here you maybe have one marketing area, one sales area, and one service area. You can then build the connection between your organization and the relevant roles. You can assign them, for example, at this point here. And you can see your organization structure, and you see the relevant roles coming from your defined workflows. These are, we call it the core elements of the business process management that you need to connect in the first step. And if we have our business architecture, process architecture here, we can refine this down to a level of the procedure model. Here you can see the synchronization of the objects, because we don't use object stores at this point in our architecture, but maybe later on we want to synchronize them. Here you can see then the synchronization of incoming and outcoming object stores. And based on this, you can jump directly from your architecture to your procedure model. And if you want to see this in a kind of tree, you can watch this hierarchy on a hierarchy view on all these elements. I know these are really a lot of information for a first step, and maybe just to give you an overview how to get all this information and all these connections that we built in a report later on. For example, you can take all this information, putting all the models that we built here, or only a couple of them, into a report. You can decide what information you want to take with you, and then you can create a report with all the relevant information. And here you have then, if you have description text, you have the description in your reporting, you have all the model information, the connections between the different models, you have everything then coming out in a report. Maybe going back to the slides and check if we saw everything. So we saw the user and group management, the hierarchy of workspaces. We can add privileges to workspaces. We also have some properties of different model types. We can show them if we need them in our project. We can also select or deselect them. So for example, you only need glossaries, process architectures, and procedure models, for example, and you can have this in a quick view for your project. Then maybe coming back to this glossary functionality as an addition, if you have some terms in your glossary defined, and you can see if you add these terms in, for example, in your description text, then you can see this is automatically hovered with the additional information that you have in your glossary. So you can define synonyms, for example, or add some descriptions, and this is good in your project management to use this as a kind of quality management for using the same terms in your company or in your project. Then a quick look. We have different languages, of course. We can use some style sheets to change the look and feel of our models. Maybe you prefer orange object stores, then you can use them, or red activities, then you can change the look and feel of these things. And the templates, as I already told you. Then I was working with that already with our smart mode, so kind of checking what you can do. So you cannot connect different activities, so it selects always the right following element in your workflow. So then it's kind of quality management to have the information on the right modeling approach. Then we have sample models. You can import them, for example. If you're new in Horus, you can add different models from our templates just to start quick in the usage of the tool. Then what we also have, the search functionality. If you have more models and more information, you want to search, for example, for this contact here, and if you, for example, need an information, I think this is a network problem. Maybe try it again. Activity. So here you can see where this activity comes from. and can jump directly to this model and add the information at this point when you need that. Then I think one more functionality if it comes to the topic of versioning of different models. Just putting some models here away. You can add a snapshot of our actual models. So we call it version 1, for example. Then we have here the creation date of this version, and if we now put some information to our model, for example, an additional step here. We can compare these two versions. So you can see here this model is identical. Here is a modified model, and if you open both models, you can check the changes. Here is a missing part, and in our actual model we can see that we added here this activity, so added an additional information to that. Okay, then have a look on our functionalities for today from the business model. I think we have all of these. We created a report already, so we have all these steps here. When it comes to the topic of involving some, for example, only reading people to our created model, so we can add, for example, Natalia here. She can read this model, and if we go to the community portal here, just need to can see our created model. Maybe I've changed the language. We can read this. We have our new model here that we created. You can also see the members of this workspace, the group participants. You can see or you can connect directly to them, and you can see what groups they are. You can see now the information coming from our model. You can also see the generalization of this model, this architecture model. You can change also the language of this model, and now you can, if you're a community member, you can add a comment. For example, okay, nice model, but add some information about creating a lead, for example, so more to improve the model. We can see this now as a comment in the business modeler. We can also like this, for example, and add some re-comments on that. But okay, we say we need some changes in our model here. Then we can create then different, or adding this information to our model here, for example, based on this more information we can create a lead. This is how to use this private community to add information to your models. But as I told before, there are some more functionalities. Maybe you saw this already on the left side here. Coming from our gamification plugin, we have some quality metrics that we defined on an objective level, how this model or how good this model is, how the quality of it is. So the readability, okay, this is good because it's an easy model. The understandability is also good, quite good, but if it comes to the completeness of the model, we need to add a couple of information to this model. So we don't have description text or only a little bit more at one activity. We don't have some refinements in this model. We don't have some risks or services. We can add all this information to this model. For example, here the roads that we added. So we need 2 more roads here. If we say, okay, we add this row to, or we add here a row for this activity, for example, coming from the sales assistant, and you can see the quality here is changing, and we're earning some points for this activity within our gamification plugin. So you can really motivate then your community to create this model and to extend this model with different information. I also already showed you the translation of the models and the usage of the glossary. And maybe if you want to check the profile of others, you can check this leaderboard, for example. Here, as I'm now performing the demo, I'm already earning a lot of points. And if Natalya wants to check my profile, then she can see that there are a couple of badges that I get from modeling this model, this is also a possibility of our gamification plugin to really motivate the community to use the tools and to extend the knowledge. And if we have, for example, here the possibility to add some skills, you can see this. There's a skill added in my profile, and Natalya can really endorse this skill that I have knowledge of the Horus method, for example, and say, okay, that's true. I know what I'm doing. And you can see this profile and this functionality also in the business modeler. You can see your own profile here. You can add here some skills, for example, tools. Maybe you believe me. And then you can add this information. You can also add contact information, not only in the business modeler, but also on the profile of Natalya here. You can add, for example, your name, the description, what you're doing here, and you can put some status updates and so on, all that you know from common social network platforms like Facebook, Xing, and so on. Just checking the time, so we have. Sorry? 5 minutes? Okay. Then later on I can show different things also in the discussion. Maybe just a quick go to the GRC component. We have this here in a separate repository. You can see different models here. And if you then go to the Horus GRC Plus, we defined a couple of KPIs, for example, for repository, how many workspaces do we have, how many activities don't have a description or have a description here, how many roads don't have a description, so you can really do some quality management within your projects. Then you can see your inbox. I was locked out here. Different tasks coming from the workflows. Here you can create tests, approvals, and audits, for example, for later steps for the approval of your processes. And here you have then all your tasks that you need in this GRC area. You can select different workspaces and see only the relevant information for your GRC modeling, for example. Here's an example with objectives, strategies, and their connections. You have then all the information on a tabular view. You have the graphical representation, and then you can see all these models also in this GRC component, and you can model then your governance, risk, and compliance environment if you need that. What we also have, if you're looking on the method and the different connections between the models, we have some predefined reports, for example, for the context analysis coming from the Horus method. Here you can see that there is a context model and entities within this model, but we don't have the connection to objectives. And for example, in the service and context mapping, we don't have the connection to services. And this is then a good analysis tool to use it later on to really understand what kind of information we need to put in to our models to have an overview of our company. And just to show you that we're also using our own tool, we use, for example, the object model to define the structure of our model types and the relevant elements that we have here. Maybe we can jump a little bit more inside. So you can see here's a performance indicator with some attributes and different connections to different models. And for example, here to the organization unit, you can have a connection. You can have a connection to business units. And so there are really a lot of possibilities to add information to our system to later on create executable processes based on this on the structure that we have. And coming to this next step, I think you all know for execution, BPMN 2.0 is really a standard. We create here an export, getting all the information from our models down to an XML structure, and then you can use this later on in your execution system. So that's the way how we do it. We create all these connections and model types within the Horus Business Modeler, and then we build the connection to the execution platforms, whatever you may use. So this was really a quick introduction into the Horus tools. I think you will also get the slides, therefore we put in some screens here to sum everything up. So we have useful navigation here, you have custom views and selection and positioning of them. You have custom palettes, custom label appearance and positioning, so you're really flexible with this graphical representation of the model. We have different functionality on our Workspace Explorer with multiple repositories, the hierarchy of workspaces, useful functionalities, and the flexible selection of different model types. You saw already the reporting, the connection to the private community, also focusing on the needs of our community. You saw a couple of things coming from gamification. First of all, what is gamification? How you can use this for learning situation, and the usage of different quality metrics and points and badges. You also already saw this. The user experience of Horus GRC Plus. Just a quick intro. I know this is a lot of stuff, but just to sum everything up. Next step, of course, you want to implement all these steps. You want to monitoring it. In most of the cases on a business level, you need some certifications, and you always have this requirement of evolution, of change management and so on, different topics like digital transformation, customer experience management. You can use Horus in all these topics because we have the relevant model types, the relevant connections, and you can add all of this information together in one place.
Maybe just a couple of words about the knowledge bases and references.
Okay. So just to give you an overview how these models look like. For example, we can use it also in Russian. So we have here a model coming from human resources or human capital management. So here you can see the creation of different business services coming from the recruiting area to the administration area, the talent management, and later on, people who are leaving our company. And you can jump on different levels down. For example, in this recruitment process, you can see that there are a lot of tasks to do. You have different possibilities to connect to new people. You have different needs later on in your workflow that you do in the assessment center, for example, and you have different steps on a lower level. And here we added also the relevant roles for performing this activity and so on. So we built these models for different areas, for example, for the human capital management, customer experience management, finance, logistics, and so on. So we have all these models as a starting point. You can use them in your projects to really onboard quick on those projects. Then I think just coming back to the discussion, and thanks for your attention to the moment.
Хорошо, коллеги. Давайте, если у вас еще есть у кого-то вопросы, у присутствующих, у отсутствующих, вы пока пишите в чат, да, а я сейчас тогда ваши вопросы, которые в чате были озвучены, буду нашему докладчику переводить, чтобы он смог на них ответить вам, да. То есть у нас был вопрос про интернационализацию, я в чате уже, в принципе, написала, да, что вы, в принципе, сами видели на демонстрации, что модели у нас мультиязычные, их можно сделать на любом количестве языков, да, на том количестве языков, носители которых у вас под рукой доступны, да, чтобы просто тупо проверить перевод. Да, вы можете, то есть пользователь каждый сам переключает себе языки, да, то есть вы видели там настройки, да, то есть как бы есть язык по умолчанию, да, там любой сет языков устанавливается, который пользователь, ну, как бы в рамках его прав ему доступен, да, и пользователь сам себе может устанавливать язык. Соответственно, если, например, какие-то элементы не переведены на этот язык, да, то используется, то есть будет половина модели, грубо говоря, на языке пользователя, половина на языке по умолчанию, да, то, которая там не переведена, да. Интерфейс присутствует на русском, на английском и на немецком. Can you please show the switch between languages of interface in the tool?
А пользователь допереводить себе может где-то?
Пользователь может себе уставить язык пользователя по
Ну, если
умолчанию.
какие-то термины не переведены, он может там где-то их допереводить? Есть?
Он себе может это переводить, как бы, то есть вот, например, вот я, да, то есть в компании там мало у нас, ну, как бы есть русскоговорящие люди, да, но не все, да, то есть основной язык общения по умолчанию в компании немецкий, да, для интернациональных проектов английский. Да, то есть я себе просто ставлю язык пользователя, который мне нужен, да, и перевожу себе то, что мне нужно на свой собственный язык, да, внутри. То есть просто для того тоже, чтобы было понятно, да, инструмент у нас в компании используется для собственных процессов, для описания, для документирования, там, для описания, для управления нашей собственной деятельностью, да, то есть просто там некоторые вещи конфиденциальные, мы не можем вам показать наши внутренние процессы, конечно, да, но просто. Just I said that we use this tool for our own processes, but we cannot show our own processes because this is confidential.
Наталья, у нас тут часто, ну, тем более применительно к так подобного рода инструментам, возникают вопросы у людей, которых используют, как из этого сделать регламент. То есть в некий текстовый формат перевести документ с описанием.
I think, в общем, отчетность, по-моему, была показана, да, но просто, видимо, вы упустили из вида. Вот он регламент фактически, вот только сформированный. То есть, как бы есть, ну, такой более-менее стандарт там какой-то, да, данных в системе, да, на основании которого можно... Maybe you can repeat it?
Yeah, maybe
More in detail.
maybe a better example also with some additional.
Он и есть как отчет. Просто выбираете себе, что конкретно вам нужно в этом отчете отразить, да, и получаете регламент процесса в виде отчета. Всего процесса, части процесса.
Which one is Russian language? Last one. This one? Okay. Sorry. So you can create then this report. And now it's refreshing the diagrams when you create some changes, and then you can get all this information into to Word file where you can add additional information if you need that, or you can use it as a project approval, for example, or use this in your existing document management system and so on. So this is now the Russian report coming from the system. We have then all the information for project management. We have the models, we have the description of the models, we have the connection to refinements, and we have all the activity steps that we have. We have additional information. I think these are roads. Resources, okay, sorry. And yeah, you can get all this information into a report then.
Roles are also possible.
If you select them. Yeah.
Okay, the next question was export.
Mm-hmm.
Which formats and how it look like?
Yeah.
Show the buttons.
Yeah, so this is creating the report. Then we have a BPL export, we have BPMN export, and we have an export from the whole workspace here. For example, created this new one. Then you can have all the information and you can share also these models, and another person who has the business modeler can then import the models and can work on this.
То есть, добавлю, да, то есть видели, да, формат BPMN и формат BPL – это то, что используется для дальнейшего исполнения, да, в среде исполнения. То есть понятно, что в формате BPMN будет там не вся необходимая информация, то есть какие-то технические вещи придется дописать, да, но вот как раз те вещи, которые бизнес-пользователю, в принципе, не очень нужны, да, когда он рисует процессы.
Вот с этим как раз, кстати, вопрос связан был. Анатолий написал по поводу раунд-трип. Дело в том, что вы один раз выгружаете модель BPMN, да? Потом дописываете что-то. А потом у вас две модели будут жить отдельно, потому что первая уйдет в разработку, а вторая модель остается в вашем формате. Вы ее исправляете, как вы синхронизацию делаете с той моделью, которая была предыдущая?
Ну, здесь вот, да, вот если сравнивать с исполняемыми средами там, с BPMN, да, то есть определенная проблема.
То есть здесь просто тут как раз вот и есть проблема, и у Ариса такая проблема тоже существует, что единожды модель отрисована в BPMN, экспортирована.
So they're talking about the changes then in BPM.
One way, then you transfer model to the BPMN, then how can you synchronize it back if you can do changes?
Yeah. So at the moment we have this one-way functionality, but we are working on the functionality to different systems to also see then the changes in the corresponding BPMN process. Then if you make a change in your BPMN process, then you have it you have pop up in the business modeler that there are some changes, and then you connect these two worlds based on on a dialogue. Where you can see then the different changes. We're working on that. At the moment it's one way, but of course we have this requirement coming from different projects, and we're working with different platforms to give them the information back to the system.
Тут сейчас был еще один повторение, вопрос, да, про версионирование моделей. Мы это показывали, давайте тогда еще раз повторим.
Maybe I can switch back to easier for me. So we have the functionality called a snapshot. So this is a possibility to create a snapshot of your existing workspace here. So we created this at one point at 5:12 p.m. We created our snapshot and we worked later on this model, and now we can open the old one, or we can compare, for example, the existing snapshot with the existing model. And here you can see then the modification of it. We modified our procedure model called CRM here, and if we take a look on this model, you can see that we add this part here. This is the snapshot version, and here you can see the new one that we created in the meantime for this model. Does this solve the question?
Тут кто задавал этот вопрос, да? Виктор. Вы ответили на ваш вопрос, Виктор? Может быть, да. Да, Виктору понятно. Так, еще один был вопрос, для чего сети Петри?
So we choose Petrinets because they are able to do also a kind of simulation. So for example, if we put in here some objects, we can do a quick simulation or quick go through this process starting the token game. You can see, okay, with the first step, we need to create an account. Otherwise, you cannot create a contact. Then you can create a contact, or you need to create a contact. And then you have a contact, and you have more information. And based on this contact information, you can perform this so-called activity 1, or you can create with more information a lead of this process step. So if you're using this, the reason was if you compare this, for example, with EPCs, they in the most cases are not able to do a simulation. With the Petri nets, you can easily do simulations on a very proven method coming from mathematical points.
Дополнительный комментарий. То есть это вот на такой простой модели кажется, как бы, ну зачем, да, и так все понятно, все видно, да. Вот представьте себе, у вас, например, нарисовано там 8 уровней иерархии или даже там 5 уровней иерархии, там 33 модели, да, то есть проверить именно как бы связность всех их, да, есть у вас там какие-то дедлоки или там что-то, да, то есть довольно сложно. То есть какой-то инструмент для вот такой вот именно математической проверки корректности моделей, да, он необходим, да. И плюс дополнительно симуляции используются также, то есть вы видели, там есть возможность задавать разные параметры, как то стоимость, ресурсы, там, исполнители, время и так далее, да, то есть мы там делали проекты для каких-то компаний, то есть когда людям, например, нужно провести бизнес-оптимизацию какую-то процесса, да, то есть не устраивает их текущий процесс, да, то есть пишутся разные сценарии, играются, они проигрываются, потом оцениваются параметры и выбирается, например, там, оптимальное количество сотрудников там, для исполнения данного процесса, да, или там еще какие-то параметры. То есть вот симуляция с последующим анализом этих действий, да, до того, как производить какую-то реальную реорганизацию в компании. Да, вот еще один из положительных моментов, которые могут быть использованы. Просто симуляция именно в таком смысле, этот процесс достаточно такой трудоемкий и долгий. Да, все задать, все правильно рассчитать, чтобы результаты тоже были корректные, максимально приближены к реальности. Поэтому как бы симуляция не рекомендована всем и каждому, да, в качестве... То есть вот такая симуляция для проверки последовательности моделей. Это одно, да, и симуляция как финансовый анализ, да, или там, это уже немножко другое. И здесь должна оцениваться целесообразность, прежде чем применять ее.
Наталья, спасибо.
Имитационного? Ну, это точно так же, то есть вы как бы нажимаете... Вы прописываете, здесь вам еще раз говорю, да, чтобы просто показать, то есть просто вам показали, как это делается, да, то есть вот точно так же токен пробегает, да, да. Для того, чтобы сделать симуляцию, то есть вы ее не увидите, это математическая вещь, да, то есть вы прописываете параметры, там, например, вот у меня там столько-то ресурсов используется в процессе, да, столько-то времени они занимают, столько-то они стоят, да, там у них такое-то рабочее время, к примеру, там еще что-то, то есть все, что вам нужно, да, там посчитать, да, там пишите вот именно разные сценарии, там с высокой, с низкой нагрузкой, вы запускаете эту симуляцию, да, вы ее не видите, это происходит у вас как бы расчет внутри компьютера, да, вы получаете файл с результатами этого расчета, вы загружаете его в какую-то BI-систему, да, анализируете, и все. То есть симуляция вещь такая, которую ее нельзя показать, да, это расчет. Наталья. То есть вот мы показываем вот ее вот она точно так же будет выглядеть в математическом, то есть вот в реальном виде, только там будет, например, 1000 экземпляров процесса, а не вот один, который мы вам сейчас показали. Она у нас есть, она работает, и мы ее делаем на проектах.
Наталья, что является результатом этой симуляции? Я имею в виду визуализация какая-то, отчет, я не знаю, где-то в колонке справа я могу это увидеть? То есть либо это для разработчиков тогда смысла, ну то есть в Варисе, да? Допустим,
вот конкретно отсюда выгружается файл с данными, да, который вы загружаете в BI.
Да, я понимаю. То есть у нас визуализации никакой нет. То есть фактически я отчет не могу выгрузить, допустим, да, по тому же симулятору. Обычно возможно посмотреть там в плане загрузки, такие таблицы для выбора, помощь там топ-менеджменту, да,
сейчас
и так далее.
Мы попробуем показать то, что здесь можно показать изнутри системы. Да?
Там вопрос, допустим, в случае ошибки, когда мы, как вы говорили, для корректности проверки, да, хотя я вот не представляю, мы проводим корректность проверки там с 1 до 2 на 3 на 4 уровень у нас прыгает, да, это наша симуляция, и где-то там ошибка, допустим, интерфейсами не связанный
Она
процесс.
застревает, вы получаете сообщение.
Вот, да, мы только сообщение, то есть какой-то
то есть
error,
вы
да?
фактически вот вы смоделировали, вы вот как сейчас
Ну,
он сделал, вы
понятно.
нажали кнопку, да, он идет по процессу. Да,
И он
вы как бы
показывает,
вот-
где именно, да,
да,
то
вы
есть не в
проверяете,
плане
да.
отчета, да, а каким-то всплывающим интерфейсом.
Валидация и симуляция, например.
Ну да, как...
Нет, просто, видите, мы используем просто один и тот же механизм сетей Петри, да, для этого, да, вот это токен гейм. То есть он у нас и как бы для валидации, и для симуляции.
So just a simple example, when you have this small model of the punching activity and you have workpiece and special gauge, and you need a punch part, he can say, okay, I need to create maybe a new one. This is the simulation. So you can see you can create here simulation of this one, and here you have the trace for today. You can see that it calculates here the different activities, the processing time, for example, the processing costs, transport costs, and the added value, and you can add all this information to the different activities, and then it simulates all the things. And then, of course, you can do some deep analysis, but in most of our projects, we do this with the existing BI tools and get the information into their systems, and then with Click or Oracle BI Suite or something like that, we can do all these things.
Какой-то конкретный набор показателей для симуляции или...
То, что задано в параметрах объектов и действий.
Вы сами не можете добавлять больше?
Что, например?
Ну, я честно говоря, не знаю, но здесь пока так все хватает, да, стоимость, там, наверное, там время, может быть, еще что-то можно добавлять?
Ну, теоретически вообще дописать-то можно все что угодно. Просто
Ну,
вот
то
как
есть
бы...
это не добавляется пользователям, сколько ему нужно, а именно...
Can you show properties what is used for simulation?
Okay.
Just
for understanding.
they want to know if it's possible to add by users any additional parameters.
So we have so for a simulation model, you need a couple of information. So, for example, you need costs and times coming from this activity. You have costs here, you have times, you need roles to perform this activity. So you need at least one worker here who is processing this activity, and it's relevant for the workflow. There's all the information that you need or that you can add to this activity. And you have also some properties coming from the object stores that we have. So we have some, for example, quality change or something like that, or storage costs that we have here. And of course, if you have a decision at one point, you need to add the properties for conflict resolution and so on that you can calculate everything. So you need all these different information to really perform a simulation that gives you more value. But otherwise, you cannot really use these information to improve your models.
Только добавить еще, то есть вот добавляется, когда роли, да, то есть у ролей там еще есть рабочее время, например, да, то есть из тех параметров, которые тоже участвуют потом в расчете симуляции. Окей.
Давайте я задам вопрос, наверное, многих интересует.
Можно я сначала сейчас
давайте.
отвечу? Тут у меня просто есть люди, которые ждут уже давно своих вопросов. There was a question about changing models, editing in that version.
So in the community or
Community, I think yes.
so we are only offering in this community. In the community, based on our role model that we defined for our community, we only give access rights to read this information from this level. But you can jump, for example, then into the Horus business model as a tool to develop these models. And therefore, we only have, at the moment, only reading access to these models. But of course, we are working on different concepts, also giving possibility to add informations at this point. But if you're looking on our role model, so we have these modeling experts and the domain experts using the Horus business model as a really comprehensive tool, and then some smart applications for involving the community. So
I think it makes sense also to explain about different access models, like on-premise and cloud, because I think maybe the question was not fully correct about that version. So what to understand as a web version.
Yeah. So we offer from a more product view, we have an on-premise installation. Of course, you can put all these tools into your existing infrastructure. And if you want to start quick, you can use the Horus Cloud to connect you to an Horus repository server like this one. Though you just get here an URL from us, and then you can start modeling. And then you also have the different tools in your chain coming from, for example, the private community. And if you're more interested in the technology, for example, for the private community, we're using AngularJS and Bootstrap to create also an app for this community. GRC is based on Apex technology coming from the Oracle database. So we have really a good database on the ground to add all this information, to put in some additional data, a really very useful database. And based on this, we created this Horus GRC Plus with Apex Application Express, also technology coming from Oracle. And for the business modeler, we have proven Java Eclipse framework, so that you can extend this very easily and work with that with the plugin concept. Solve the question?
I think so. So another question was about cross-process interaction. I think this is a different concept. This is from the BPM point of view. The question was. Maybe you can expand your question to make it more understandable for Kai.
Serious questions about the notation. How are you going to convince people to switch from some standard notation to the one supported only by one tool? I think it will be a tough task. But anyway, from a technical perspective, the advantages of BPMN are support of events, direct support of events, and direct support of inter-process communication, which is also important for when it's not fully internal process, when it communicates with external subjects like partners or customers. You really need more complicated models than just a single workflow.
Yeah, but I think this is more a technical view on the workflows, on the whole business, or on the whole BPM. So if you separate the functional BPM and the technical BPM, then you have everything together. And of course, you need all these details. We already discussed it a couple of hours ago. That you need really to extend your models with information if it comes to the execution. Therefore, there are really good tools outside. Then creating all this execution level, the execution engines, they do really a good job, and therefore we don't want to get these tools away. So we just need to support them to really get a better BPMN, because you need all this information. You need the right workflow. You need the right information to do the right things, not only doing anything, but doing the right thing. And therefore you need all the involvement of the community. You need your top management involved with some strategies, objectives, and so on. You need to get all involved, and they need to understand what's going on. And with BPMN, the complexity of BPMN, you sometimes, or in our experience, you often have the problem.
I'm sorry. The complexity of BPMN is a myth, because it's purely your decision what part of BPMN to use. You can constrict yourself with part of the palette, and you don't have an issue with complexity. Anyway, I can see the value of complex multidimensional architecture model. It's not a question, but I ask some questions. You mentioned your cooperation with universities. Could you please say some more about it? Example of some, I don't know, scientific advances that you implemented in the product. It would be quite interesting.
So all these, the simulation part, for example, is also coming from this XML concept that we implemented here. So to have this on a, we're talking about Petri nets, but also about XML nets, and they were able to...
XML nets? What's XML nets?
It's only the type of storing the information.
Just a format?
It's a format, so a defined standard format that you can use.
Yeah, I know what XML is, but
yeah.
I don't see much scientific value in it. Sorry.
No. It's just the basis for the different things that we have here, for the different connections, that you can export it and use it. That's only why we are using this XML structure. And for the more scientific work, what we're doing with the universities, for example, this gamification is one part of our collaboration with the universities. Looking what do you really need to motivate the people to get them able to create different models. What is BPMN about? What are quality metrics, for example, of such a model, and how to present them to the user, to the community, to add this information. And also we work together with the university if it's come to, we call it social BPM labs, where we create models together with students and also professional experts in the kind of workshop, one-day workshop, to really see how fast you can jump into this modeling. So it's very easy to understand. And if you break BPMN down to only small parts, then you're back into Petri nets, because they're coming from Petri nets. And you can also define your BPMN that is looking like a Petri net. So you have your input store, activity, and output store. So I don't think it's a discussion of what notation form, because of course you can do really great projects with BPMN, with Petri nets, but with EPC.
It's just, it's just a matter of...
Depends on the task of the concrete project.
Not exactly, because it's also a matter of, learning curve, the community. It's a big challenge trying to create your own community on your own notation. It splits the community, so it's risky a little bit. But it's... I got you on your arguments. Yeah. Thank you. May I ask one last question?
Yeah, of course.
For me, your product looks terribly similar to Aris. I'm not a big expert of ARIS. I'm not a big expert in architecture tools, but I guess that neither are the majority of the customers. So the question is, how are you going to convince your prospective customers to switch from ARIS, which is a well-known brand anyway, to your product? What are the big advantages, big benefits?
Yeah, I think, and if it comes to a tool discussion, you always see in real projects that companies really have a couple of tools in their pocket. So they have ARIS, they have different BPMN tools, and so on. So it's always flexible because you need to convince the community to use any tool. Of course, ARIS has the same problem than every BPMN tool, and we try to give the people an easy entry to this topic BPM, and therefore you need different model types, different connections between the models, and maybe if you say it's similar to ARIS, maybe it's coming from this scientific background because there were two ways in Germany. So one is going more into this ARIS world with Professor Scheer, and one was then the Karlsruhe way of doing business process management, and maybe therefore it's a little bit similar. But I think we're doing it really well, also with the gamification and so on. So we really try to get everyone involved into BPM. So no one should be on the street, but work together with. That's our motivation.
Что интересно, так это сколько вендоров я знаю, предлагающих собственные нотации. Взять тот же Метасоник, взять там тех, кто говорит про BPM, они говорят, что они предлагают пользователю самый простой инструмент, в котором ему будет все понятно.
И что характерно, обратите внимание, все немцы.
Я думаю, немцы, они просто вот именно от архитектуры, от структуры, от системы пляшут поэтому, да. А каждый предлагает самый простой, потому что делали же для себя же. Для меня же просто, и для всех должно.
Это тоже, в общем, архитектурно, хотя это американская вещь.
Я вам просто тогда сейчас, если хотите, да, на тему простоты, я вам покажу, что сделали люди из, например, КамАЗа, да, на воркшопе за 2 часа, которые вообще никаких нотаций в жизни не изучали, да, то есть они BPM что-то слышали, но сначала мы дадим девушке слово, потому что она тоже давно ждет.
Я, в принципе, Анатолий озвучил мой, наверное, вопрос слегка про ARIS, потому что вот я опоздала, конечно, к сожалению, но я как только зашла, с ARIS работаю давно, я увидела сразу просто вот очень-очень похожий инструмент, да, и мне как там партнеру, директору, вот, да, я рассматриваю продукт в плане там продажи, да, и мне интересно, первое, что спросит меня клиент, да, как бы, когда он обычно спрашивает, назовите мне, дайте мне некое сравнение Ариса и этого продукта, да, то есть сразу же вопрос, есть ли у вас такое сравнение, делали вы его, да, какая-то таблица может быть, какой-то, может быть, я не знаю, вот, потому что как бы это все понятно, все простота, как вот я тоже соглашусь с Юлей, все абсолютно производители там ПО говорят, что это так и есть, так же как Арис, Метасоник и бизнес-студия и все остальное. Вот, то есть какие-то такие моменты, например, там, GRC, да, какие-то моменты, что я знаю, что может Арис, да, там, например, поняла, что может эту программу, там, ну, вот именно что-то такое более-менее техническое, что можно, чем можно оперировать, почему я должен выбрать, там, вашу программу, а не Арис, вот так.
For example, to create, as we see these model types here, I think you need at least 2 tools from ARIS to create all these models and to connect the different worlds coming from architecture down to the detailed procedure modeling. So you need 1 tool less, for example, to create the same job. So that's one part if you compare Horus only with ARIS.
And to be able to see it in one screen.
And to have all the connection, of course, you can build the connection. I think it's, how's it called, Alphabet, or is the Google daughter, always having different things in mind. But if you connect the different words, you can do it on a technical level. But here it's very easy. You can put everything together. You have a graphical representation of it. You can play around a little bit with the appearance of the different information, because of course this is an easy example, but later on you have risks, you have KPIs, you have descriptions and so on, and you maybe just need for a presentation only the graphical representation of the workflow. But you need all this information later for different project steps.
Может быть, я пропустила, если у него формат EPC, так полюбившийся всем нам и многим компаниям в России, в Москве, точнее, могу сказать точно. Просто, может, я как бы... Я так поняла, что нет, да? Но...
Есть в XML, выгружается,
ну и потом...
и в Beeple.
Ну, то есть, смоделировать в EPC формате.
Интересно, что из Beeple делать?
Модели EPC нет как таковой, как бы, потому что, в принципе, она здесь не нужна, потому что мы вот, эта нотация, да, позволяет за счет параметров, за счет атрибутов описать практически все, что угодно.
Да, нет, я согласна. Тут вопрос именно привычки клиента, допустим, да, когда уже компания там 5 лет моделирует в Арисе, да, ну, допустим, не в Арисе, пусть у них будет что-то другое, но в формате EPC, да, она привыкла, да, как бы вопрос, да, как бы, и, наверное... Окей. Ну, то есть, как я поняла, по сравнению с Арисом нет такой формальной таблицы какой-то, да, с какими-то признаками. Ну, не просто то, что мы лучше, красивее, там, проще.
Ну, вот нотации EPC нет.
Нет,
нотации BPM нет. Это вот, как бы, чтобы просто ответить на вопрос. То есть, ну, те же самые задачи решаются другими способами.
Если... Да, то есть...
Таблица сравнения Хоруса с Арисом.
Корректно,
ну,
на
я
самом
понимаю.
деле. Почему именно с Арисом? Почему?
Ну, окей, не с Арисом, пожалуйста.
На самом деле, понимаете, проблема сравнения с Арисом, да, заключается в Арисе как таковом, да, потому что получить более-менее внятную информацию о том, что умеет Арис, да, если у тебя нет тула на руках, да, ее нельзя просто. То есть вот у меня нет Ариса, и я не могу сделать это сравнение физически. Просто.
Да, я понимаю.
У меня другой интересный
Мне никто
вопрос.
не даст подержаться за него просто так. Потому что, учитывая цены, да, всех жаба душит просто, простите вот за слово, да, просто дать попользоваться.
Это следующий вопрос.
Наталья, а такой вопрос, вот смотрите, мы стали говорить это с Анатолием, я говорю, выгрузили вы, например, в Beeple, да, модель, кто-нибудь вообще этот Beeple потом в какой-нибудь движок исполняемый?
Ну, вот наши же люди исполняют, то есть Beeple это как раз именно вот технический язык, да, то есть это тот, который вот не для людей, а для машин совсем, да, то есть Oracle тот же самый, с Oracle у нас отлично интегрируется все на Beeple.
Да, спасибо большое, Юль, хороший вопрос. Ну ладно.
Is there any day to use Beeple?
There are a lot of projects, for example, for Oracle SOA Suite, where you use Beeple. So, of course, on a here in this user group, you think, okay, we need to develop, we need to go on with BPM and so on. But there are a lot of projects outside with legacy systems that are using Beeple, for example, and different other systems. The main point that we need to provide at the first level, if it comes to business process re-engineering projects and so on, then you have the chance to change anything. And therefore, you need everything, everyone involved, you need every information, and of course, you need later on a standard format to work with your execution systems, of course. But there are different approaches to do the first mile, to get all the information, to involve the community. And Horus is one approach, of course, but there are different others outside.
Okay. А есть ли какая-то у вас история успеха некая, да, то есть в каких компаниях громких, да, чем вы можете блеснуть? Было, да? Все, простите, тогда все. Окей. А в Москве еще нет, ну, в России не было, да, и только вы начинаете заходить на рынок?
В России пока не было, да, начинаем только.
Коллеги, ну вы заинтриговали вот это упоминанием, что дороговизны Ариса. Правильно я понял, что у вас цены более привлекательные? Но это по-моему, невысказанный вопрос у всей аудитории. Но...
Базовый пакет лицензий начинается 5 пользователей вот, как бы в модулере, да, и 100 пользователей в комьюнити. В общем, вот 5 пользователей, приблизительно 5000, да, и 100 пользователей, которые имеют доступ, вот, ну, как бы, вот, пока еще, да, доступ на чтение, на комментарии через портал. Да. То есть вот базовый пакет 5 активных пользователей и 100 пользователей с комментариями. Ну, вы сами понимаете, да, что от формата заказчика цены, они, то есть, ну, мы как бы, мы хозяева, да, мы вольны сами цены устанавливать, да, то есть это вот такая цена. Для Европы, да, для России специальные цены всегда рассматриваются. Нет, это 5000 евро. Пакет 5000 активных пользователей модулера и 100 тысяч 100 пользователей портала, да, с правом чтения комментариев. Могу написать в чате, я не знаю, как повторить, на плакат написать. 5 активных пользователей и 100 пользователей портала 5000 евро примерно. Вместе, да. Пакет. Ну, там предполагается подписка потом еще дальнейшая. У Ариса же тоже предполагается, кто-нибудь знает про лицензирование Ариса? Подписка на обновление тоже предполагается, да?
Maintenance.
Нет, maintenance, все по-разному называют это как-то. Microsoft одним словом называет, Oracle другим, Aris третьим.
Тут вот еще остался вопрос, планируется ли облачная версия?
По-моему, мы уже 3 раза про это тут рассказали. Облачная версия она есть, да, и активно поддерживается, и, в общем-то, мы ей больше отдаем предпочтение, мы рассматриваем версию там, развертывания на всяких серверах, наверное, только вот в чисто соображении там, безопасности или производительности, у кого какие потребности.
Так, коллеги, если вопросов больше к докладчику нет, мы...
Ну вот это стоимость облачной версии, собственно, и была. Да. Нет, я ошиблась, прошу прощения. Вот это была вот 5000, это цена на on-premise, а cloud в 2 раза дешевле. Абсолютно то же самое. Вообще нет разницы. На самом деле, вот вы прямо сейчас можете пойти на наш сайт и скачать freeware оттуда, да, где будет все, кроме вот collaborative, вот этой, то есть вот совместной работы. То есть она будет исключительно только локальной, то есть нет возможности ее как-то так по сети, и отчетности, и симуляции там не будет. То есть с точки зрения моделирования там есть абсолютно все. Вот прям вот все, что вы видели сейчас.
Остались еще вопросы? Я хочу поблагодарить докладчиков. Большое спасибо за интересную демонстрацию. Наташа, вам скажем большое спасибо. Thank you very much. Мы тогда завершаем сегодняшнее мероприятие. Всем, кто был с нами в чате, все, кто был с нами онлайн, большое спасибо. До свидания.
Единственное, только мы обещали книги самым активным участникам. Книги мы будем присылать по почте, потому что, каюсь, я забыла их сегодня в гостинице.
Ну, на самом деле вы можете книги нам передать, мы их раздадим.
Можем и вам передать, да?
Хорошо, давайте мы закроем тогда вот онлайн-трансляцию, да? Всем до свидания, ну и надеюсь, еще до следующих встреч.
Спасибо всем, до свидания.